I think this is why Hamlet is a reluctant revenger. He does not want to kill Claudius. He is drafted into the role. And I think he knows he's got a job to do as a soldier, but he's got to deal with how he feels as himself. And he himself doesn't want to kill. He does kill, and but he has to. He's a prince. He has to right the wrongs. That's his job. And I think that is another value conflict that we see that Shakespeare does so well, and we buy into it. Because, many times in the history of humanity, I mean, we're probably people on stage, none of us have been to war, but in the history of America, I was probably the first generation that didn't have to go to war and face that terrible question. Am I willing to kill?
And there are powerful moments. I mean, like Hamlet's a great example when he says to Laertes, forgive me, I have done you wrong at the end of that. And he says, and then Laertes says, I receive your love like love, but will not shun it. There's like the act of Hamlet saying, I'm sorry to him puts Laertes in this place of, wow, do I go through with this or not? This guy just
stunning thing.
Yeah, he just elevated himself, and he begins to doubt his own actions.
You see how forgiveness, like love, changes people's conscience. It affects decision making, and that's what Shakespeare brings out in his plays. Are interesting, and what everyone can learn. Young people and all of us still find interesting about it because we can learn.
This reminds me of one of my favorite books about Shakespeare. It was by Stanley Cavell, the philosopher, it's called The Avoidance of Love in Shakespeare's plays. But his interpretation of the plays is that it's about the struggle to accept the fact that you are loved. And that men erect these skeptical fortresses. Hamlet's a good example, but it is an attempt actually to protect oneself from the just sheer fact that sometimes you're loved by someone who truly cares about you. That could be Bassanio, who's loved by Antonio, who says, I'll do all these things for you. But, it's not a headline in the New York Times that we love each other. And it's really hard, I think, to go to people and say, these plays are going to elevate you, they will lift you. We're seeing people who are living in corrupt environments. There's no virtue except the ones that are tested. Right? So that's part of a great play, is they show you all the pressure. But to really say seriously to people that there is a form of elevation that can happen through human connection, it's almost impossible to get to, even for people with immense privilege. I mean, Lear, right? And to put that up against things like David Brooks writes for the New York Times, it's still hard to make that case. It's almost a non-respectable case, or it's not a respectable thing to say. So I just want to comment that we're at a moment when it's harder and harder to say things like that. And so, Jerry, when you've made this argument to me and you talked about it, I thought, wow, I actually don't hear people talk about love right now. We're talking a lot about conflict. We need to do that.
Well, there's lots of Shakespearean characters that don't know anything about love. Cressida is one of them when she says, upon my back to protect my belly. I mean, this is a woman that doesn't know anything about love. It's a transaction to her. In fact, her uncle Pandus, which is where we get the word pander from, is he doesn't know anything about love either. And so a lot of times what's great is the juxtaposition of people that have no idea, the people that have love, know love, and then the ones that may experience it for the first time. And that's what I see in Shakespeare plays, is this opportunity. And love comes in different ways. There's romantic love, and then there's love through forgiveness and through mercy.